Good afternoon, Mr. Weeks here. We're going to talk about translating inequalities today. And basically what I'm talking about is taking, written sentences and translating them into inequality statements. So before we can do that, we need to make sure we know exactly what we're dealing with. So we all know our four inequality symbols, all right? But how do we know when to recognize them when we're talking about them in written form? So obviously, there really isn't too much to say with this one. We're talking about less than. There really isn't too many ways to write it, so the most common way you're going to see is, in fact, less than. And the same with greater than. All right, the two basic ones are just that. They're pretty basic. There's nothing surprising about them. The other two, however, have some kind of tricky things going on with them. So let's take a look. If we say less than or equal to, this one you're going to see as at most. So if we think about it, if we say at most, if I say I want at most 4 people to go down and, help Mr. Meringue bring up some basketballs, okay? That means I can have 4, or I can have 3, 2, 1, or 0, because at the most I wanted 4. So that's our maximum amount. Over here, when we're talking greater than or equal to, we're talking at least. So if I say I want at least 4 people to go down and help Mr. Meringue bring up some basketballs, that means I want 4 people, potentially more if we have the volunteers. All right, so at least is greater than or equal to, at most is less than or equal to, and then less than and greater than are just what they are. So let's take a look at a couple examples. We say 3 more than 1/3 the number x is at least 14. So let's go break it down. All right, we have our more than, which we know, oops, I can't even write today. More than, that's our plus. We know is, that's our equal sign. Actually, I take that back. Is at least. All right, so if we're talking at least, we're talking greater than or equal to. And now let's just plug in our basics. We've got a 3. We've got a 14. And now this thing in the middle, that's the kind of part that we really need to concentrate on. 1/3 the number x. Well, 1/3 is just simply 1/3 the number x. So we've got 3 plus 1/3 x is greater than or equal to 14. Pretty straightforward if you ask me. All right, but let's try another one just to make sure we're all on the same page. 6 less than a number, h, is greater than 22. So, here's our less than, is greater than, so we know we're going to have a subtraction. Greater than, obviously, is, greater than. Let's see, we've got 22. Basic number. We've got 6 less than a number, h is. Alright. So remember, the trick with less than is the number that comes before in the words is the one that comes after in the equation. Which means a number h is in front. So we've got h minus 6 greater than 22. And that's really all we're looking at. So last one real quick. Remember, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask. Don't think that you're on your own with all this. So, we've got the product of 3 and the sum of 4 and x is at most 9. So we got a lot of stuff going on in this one. So at most, remember, is less than or equal to. We just got done talking about that one. So let's go back to the beginning. Product means we're multiplying 2 things. What are we multiplying? It says 3 and the sum. When we talk about the sum, we're talking about, something that's we're adding together, obviously. So we need to add something together and multiply it by our 3. So we're going to multiply 3 times the sum of 4 and x. right? Do you see how we did that? So when we say the product of, so obviously we're multiplying two things, 3. So here's our 3. And the sum, so we wanted to add something together before we multiplied it, of 4 and x. Is at most, oops, I forgot my 9. So now we just have a little distributive property problem. So we've got 3, parentheses, 4 plus x. And if you write x plus 4, that's perfectly fine because we know adding we can do either way. And it still comes out to be the same. So that's pretty much all we wrote on this one. Again, if you have questions, make sure you check your notes, ask a friend, and as always, you can still come talk to me. I'm Mr. Weeks. Have a great day.